Guys, I know you've been waiting for this. WitcherCon delivered, and the trailer is here. So many details were revealed at WitcherCon. They announced that the second season will drop on the 17th of December. They also showed off the brand new intro, gave us 7 out of the 8 episode titles, shared information and showed a trailer on Nightmare of the Wolf, the animated spin-off, which will drop on August the 23rd. And there was so much game-related content. They're doing future DLCs that will include Netflix content. Still a lot we don't know about that, but we're really here for the Witcher content over on Netflix. But I will be doing more videos on all the stuff at WitcherCon. But we have to break this down. We have to break the trailer down now, as that's the most important. As expected, it mostly features Geralt and Ciri. It does feature a bit of Yennefer, but I'm quite surprised we only saw a short glimpse of her. But there's obviously going to be another trailer, and so many other teasers and foes. There's plenty of time for Yennefer. It's likely they're going to reveal 1 more or maybe 2 more big trailers. The next one might have more Yennefer, and the third one might feature a more balanced look at the 3 characters. But for now, this trailer focuses on Geralt and Ciri, and there's scenes and dialogue straight from the book. Ciri says, "So I am your destiny," and Geralt says, "You're much more than that, Cirilla." And this is straight from the ending of the short story Something More. That short story did feature on the show, but this dialogue was never on it. It's here. And obviously the timeline has been changed a bit, certain events from the books didn't happen, but some events, including some short stories, will feature in Season 2, like A Grain of Truth, which we will cover later. The other scene which features straight from the book is Ciri waking from a nightmare, whilst Geralt sits by her side. So yeah, Ciri's having nightmares, and this one's about her escaping Sintra. Remember, Ciri's went through hell in the first season, and she just wants to understand why all these bad things are happening to her. She wants to learn more about her powers and purpose. She's afraid of outside dangers, but also the danger of herself. Like she said, sometimes she feels she could make the whole world burn. So yeah, you'll notice these scenes seem to be set during the winter, on the way to Kaer Morhen, the Witcher keep of the School of the Wolf. And it is tradition for the Witchers to return to their keep during the winter. But it's not just the reason Geralt's going because it's winter. It's the only safe place for Ciri. It's the only safe place he knows to bring her. So yeah, most of these scenes are probably from episode 1 to 3. And you'll notice Geralt is wearing the same outfit from the end of episode 8. And he still has the bandage on his leg. So it's likely it picks up straight away or just shortly after. And episode 1 is going to focus on the short story A Grain of Truth, which is all about a character called Novellen, who will be played by Game of Thrones Tormund, Christopher Hiju. Basically, A Grain of Truth, without spoiling it, is a twisted and darker version of Beauty and the Beast. Like I say, I won't spoil it, and some of the stuff is in the trailer if you look closely, but it is one of my favourites. It's action-packed, as we see Geralt draw his sword, and he's drugged up on Witcher potions. This short story is meant to happen during the time of The Last Wish, but like I said, not every short story made it into the first season. So this is a reimagining, and this time Ciri's with him, which is completely different than the book. That adds so many different elements. It's interesting to see how that affects the story, as this time Geralt's got more than himself to worry about. He's got to worry about a little girl who, even though she's done well to survive on her own, probably better than most of us could, this is a dangerous time, and it's a dangerous situation. And even though Geralt's a Witcher, he's a badass and all that, he's not invincible. And the fight during A Grain of Truth is a hard one. And as Vesemir says later in the trailer, perhaps Geralt has took on more than he's bargained for. I know a lot of you guys were not happy that the Sword of Destiny short story was pretty much butchered in Season 1. Ciri does go to Brokilon Forest, but Geralt's not there. So this is the first time Ciri's going to see Geralt in action properly. And you'll notice, like I said, Geralt still has his outfit from Season 1 and the bandage on his leg. So by what outfit Geralt's wearing, you can kind of work out where they are in the story. Anything in the trailer with this outfit is probably from episode 1 and 2, before he gets his new armour at Kaer Morhen. And Kaer Morhen does feature heavily in this trailer. Ciri takes a tour of the keep, which features the Witcher Lab, where the trial of the grasses were performed. That's where little boys were turned into Witchers by being mutated. And even though Ciri trains to fight like a Witcher and survive, she's not a Witcher. She doesn't go through the mutations that turn the boys into the Witchers. It's not really something Geralt would want for her, and the School of the Wolf can no longer create new Witchers, as that information was lost. The Witchers that knew how to perform the trial, they were killed off. and the numbers are dwindling. We saw a Witcher die in Season 1, and in this trailer we see the fallen Witcher medallions. They do all look like the Skull of the Wolf, but they're slightly different. They're not all the same design. They seem individual to certain Witchers. We also take a tour into the armory of Kaer Morhen, and them two swords look exactly, no, they are the swords from The Witcher 3. Geralt's steel and silver sword from the base game. And it's obvious Netflix and CD Projekt Red are working pretty close now. Like, Season 1 is based on the books, and the Netflix folk reminded us that whenever they could, but there was heavy inspiration from the games. And like I said, way back, the only reason the show is getting made is because of the success of the Wild Hunt game. And it's obvious Henry Cavill's portrayal as Geralt is inspired by the games because he's a big fan. Like, just take a listen to the voice and some of his mannerisms. And there's so many little Easter eggs and little nods to the games. Like his Season 1 armour or the famous bathtub scene. But it looks like Season 2 is taking it to the next level. And I imagine Kaer Morhen itself is going to look quite similar to the one featured in the game. And we see quite a lot of Kaer Morhen in this trailer. We also see the other Witchers, Eskel, Lambert and Cohen. And of course Vesemir, who's not fully revealed yet. We see, obscure shots of him from behind and he's blurred out in the background. We do hear his voice though, but I think they're saving a full reveal for something else. But for now, it seems like the Witchers are not too keen on Ciri, but fans know that doesn't last. Ciri calls Vesemir Uncle Vesemir for a reason. And Vesemir, even though he's a minor character in the books, is a big character in The Witcher 3, and chances are he's going to have a bigger role on the show. He's the man who raised Geralt, as a man and a Witcher. His life lessons are passed on to Ciri through Geralt. And Vesemir taught Geralt that the world outside of Kaer Morhen is a dangerous place. But I don't think he's just talking about monsters, magical users, and kings with their armies. I think he's also talking about political schemers and other nasty parts of the world, who are just as dangerous. Think Game of Thrones, Littlefinger type characters. That's not the kind of world that Witchers get involved in. The Witchers try to stay in their own little bubble in their world. No, they're just there to kill monsters, make some coin. Geralt always says he tries to stay neutral when it comes to political or factions or anything like that, but he always gets drawn in. And I'm very hyped for Season 2. I enjoyed this trailer a lot. There's a lot of big moments from Blood of Elf straight from the page. But it also seems that there's going to be some big changes, which I'm a bit more skeptical about. Like, for instance, they bring sex workers to Kaer Morhen for some weird reason. Like, there's the same sex worker who Geralt slept with one time in Season 1. Why are they bringing them into Kaer Morhen? Well, obviously the Witchers have brought them there for reasons that are obvious, but what does that do for the story? Is it just to have damsels in distress? Characters to kill off when something bad happens at Kaer Morhen? Who knows, but it's not in the books. There's obviously some big action scene that's taking place at Kaer Morhen. We see Geralt and Vesemir fighting back to back. That's always something that's nice because we never saw that in the books. We obviously saw that in the games, and obviously Netflix want to put that on the show, but why is it happening during Kaer Morhen? In a time it's not the peaceful for Ciri, but it's one of the better parts of her life. Like, don't get me wrong, sometimes there's potential in doing new stuff, but sometimes they can be unnecessary, which was a big criticism for Season 1. But don't get me wrong, some of the additions in Season 1, like Yennefer's backstory, I was heavily behind. But others, like the doppelganger Mousak, wasn't a fan of that. Sometimes they work wonders, sometimes it's better to stick to the books. But this trailer does confirm what many fans will be happy about, is there is some moments at Kaer Morhen that are obviously going to be faithful to the books. We see Geralt training himself, and also Ciri, whilst Vesemir watches on. We also see that Geralt has called Triss to come and help with Ciri. He can teach her to fight like a Witcher and survive in the wild, but there's some stuff he can't teach her, involving magic and her powers. And obviously Witchers have no idea how to raise a girl, and that's where Triss comes in. But why Triss? Why not Yennefer? Basically, Geralt and Yennefer are not on speaking terms right now. It's slightly different in the books because they change stuff around. But as the episode title later on reveals, the episode title Dear Friend. If you've read the books, you know what that means. And obviously a Geralt and Triss romance is on the cards here. And obviously, how is that going to affect Yennefer and Geralt's relationship? Or whatever they are in right now. And obviously a Shard of Ice is going to get adapted as well. Even though the show doesn't follow the book page by page, you know what's going to happen. And speaking of Yennefer, she does show up in the trailer, just for a few seconds. She's missing from the Battle of Sodden Hill. She was the pivotal moment It was her that won the battle, but the aftermath of the battle, not so good. We see Tissaia Vree scream out for her. Nobody knows where Yennefer is, but we see Yennefer wake up with the Nilfgaardian sorceress Fangilla Vigo looking at her. Because of leaks, I know slightly more information, but I won't talk about that here. It looks like she'll have her own storyline in the first few episodes, while Geralt's busy with Ciri at Kaer Morhen. We see Geralt's new armour, but we already know that. We've seen this way back. He's in the woods of Ciri, and he tells her to run. And this is when the scenes get jumbled up for trailers. Scenes are cut in certain ways for trailers. It's not all in sequence. Some dialogue is not from the scene that it plays over in trailers. Scenes are cut in very certain ways in trailers, just for the trailer itself. We all know that. We've all seen movies. Some of the stuff is not in sequence, some of the stuff is not from the same episode. And you can see that because Geralt has new armour on in certain scenes, but in other times he's wearing the stuff that he was wearing at the end of Season 1. But we know Geralt will probably get that new armour from Kaer Morhen, and then he's going to take Ciri on some monster hunt around the castle, or in the woods around it. Like I said, Sword of Destiny was cut and that annoyed a lot of people, but it seems like some scenes will be adapted in a different way for Season 2. And speaking of new armour, yep, here's the Nilfgaardian armour. No longer that nutsack, evil, cult-looking crap. Nilfgaard in Season 1 was poorly done. There's not much I liked about it. They're not evil. On The Witcher, there's bad people on all sides. But Nilfgaard as a faction are not evil. It's not Mordor. I'm glad they've changed the armour, but there's a lot more to change and improve than just the armour itself. Also, Jaskir's back, and he's got a hat from the books, which pleases a lot of people. And his purple outfit is definitely inspired by the games. Jaskier is a fan favourite. We all know his song, Toss a Coin to the Witcher, and we'll probably see more of him in the trailers and all that leading up to the show. We also see Dara, the elven boy that Ciri met in Season 1, and there's so many other minor shots. It's honestly a busy trailer. It's mostly focused around the two main characters, but there's so much else we could talk about, but I think I'm going to leave it at that, because we could be here all day. So yeah, let me know what you think about this trailer. Is there anything else that stood out that you want to talk about? I will be doing more Witcher videos this week, and beyond. We can talk about the episode titles, maybe some Nightmare of the Wolf, and loads of more stuff as well. As The Witcher is basically the main focus for the rest of the year. They've got the animated movie coming out, and a full-on season in December. There's just so much to cover. And oh yeah, there's a short Yennefer teaser as well. Basically, just subscribe to get all the Witcher stuff. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for more Witcher stuff, and I'll see you soon.